Grief often takes a toll on people and forces them to make desperate decisions. This was exactly the situation Henry found himself in after his beloved daughter passed away. With his eyes swollen from weeping, he decided to check his phone that was connected to the camera in his daughter's coffin. He missed her so much and wanted to see her one last time, just one last time. But what he would find would be the greatest shock of his life, changing everything. Henry was a veteran who had served his country with honor, leaving the service with dignity. Unfortunately, while on active duty, he lost his left leg. However, he didn't let his disability make him feel less human, nor did he let it stop him from achieving his dreams. After his service, Henry ventured into real estate, a decision that provided the financial breakthrough he desperately yearned for. Henry desired a life of comfort and luxury. He wanted to be wealthy so he could take care of the people who meant the world to him. At the top of this list was his wife, Laura. Laura was a loving, caring, and beautiful wife, at least until Henry lost his leg. After the tragic incident, Laura suddenly became cold-hearted, and her feelings for him almost vanished. In public, she would pretend to be caring and loving, but whenever they were alone, she would switch back to being hostile and uncaring. Truthfully, she lost the attraction she felt for Henry the moment he lost his leg, and even after he got an artificial leg, it still didn't change the way she felt about him. "He disgusts me. I just hate the sight of his crutches and the way he limps. How long do I have to put up with this?" She would complain to her friends, and they would advise her to keep enduring until she found a better option. Laura soon ran out of patience and secretly began to file for a divorce. But guess what? Henry's real estate business suddenly took off, and he sealed a multi-million-dollar real estate deal that changed their whole lives in a nanosecond. Seeing that Henry was now wealthy, Laura could no longer carry on with the divorce. Of course, she hated his injury, but she was deeply in love with his money, and she decided to stay. She soon learned how to cope with him, suddenly switching from being hostile and unfriendly to being caring, loving, and understanding. Poor Henry, who was deeply in love with his wife, couldn't tell the difference. He didn't realize that she had fallen out of love with him and was just putting up with him. Or maybe Laura was just a good actress, a smart one at that. As days went by, she realized there were more and more things to put up with, like how Henry would often need help around the house, or how she needed to run errands for him and even drive him around. All these she endured and did with a fake smile on her face. But when Henry told her that he wanted to adopt a child, she stopped pretending and freaked out. "I already told you I don't want a child. I don't like children. Why would you do this?" She screamed at him angrily and cursed his leg. Ignoring the foul words she said about his leg, Henry replied, "Sweetheart, I'm talking about my best friend's daughter, Isabella. She's now an orphan. We need to take her in." You see, poor Isabella, who was just 2 years old, lost her parents in an accident, and since Henry didn't want Isabella to be taken to an orphanage, he decided he would adopt her. After much persuasion, Laura eventually gave in, so the duo started the adoption process, which was quite fast and smooth. Within a few days, they legally adopted the little girl. When Isabella came to the house, it was like everyone had been waiting for her. She brought some sunshine along. Henry was so fond of her. She was a sweet girl and had a happy demeanor. However, whenever she went close to Laura, she was always met with a cold stare. Seeing Laura's reaction, the little girl would cry and run to her caregiver or Henry. "Don't worry, baby. Mom is just in a bad mood. You can play with her tomorrow, okay?" Henry would often tell Isabella. One of the reasons Laura resented Isabella was because Henry seemed to have transferred all the affection he had for her to Isabella. She noticed that Henry no longer begged for her attention like he used to and even stopped buying her gifts. She became paranoid. Could it be that he had seen through her sham? Could it be that he had somehow figured out that she no longer cared about him and was simply enduring the marriage? She became so paranoid that she even began thinking that Henry was secretly filing for a divorce. She knew if they ever went their separate ways, she would be done for, so she decided to change her ways. She became more affectionate towards Isabella, even in Henry's absence. In this way, she was sure she would get Henry's attention. And oh boy, this idea worked like a charm. Henry was happy to see Laura warm up to Isabella, and he started buying Laura lots of gifts again. When Isabella turned 3, Laura went all out to throw her a birthday party. Isabella was so happy she soon started to call Laura Mom, just the way she called Henry Dad. Henry got Isabella a special gift for her 3rd birthday. It was a doll with a camera. He didn't know the doll had a camera until the shop attendant explained that the right eye of the doll had a camera. The shop attendant also offered to set up his phone so that he could view what the camera would capture on it. Isabella could not contain her joy when she saw her doll. The doll became her companion. No one could separate her from her beloved doll. She practically did everything with the doll. Everything seemed perfect until 3 months after Isabella's 4th birthday. Henry suddenly got a call at work that Isabella had a sudden heart attack. Wasting no time, he rushed to his car and drove to the hospital where she had been taken. Much to his shock, when he got there, he met Laura and Isabella's caregivers crying, and right there in Laura's arms was Isabella's lifeless body. It happened so fast. I don't know. Everything just happened so fast. Our baby is gone. Laura cried and said they needed to bury the little girl right away, and Henry, who wasn't thinking straight at that moment, agreed. So poor Isabella was immediately buried with her doll. That night, Henry could not sleep. Restless, he lay on the couch in the living room. Just then, he decided to view his daughter's last moments and see her one last time in the coffin. With trembling hands, he brought out his phone, but what he saw would shock him to the very core. Right there in the coffin, he saw Isabella stroking her teddy bear as she struggled to get out. Filled with fear, Henry let out a piercing scream, startling Laura, who was fast asleep in the bedroom. Laura rushed out to find out what was wrong, but before she could get to the living room, Henry had already taken his car keys and driven at very high speed to the grave. Once there, he dug up the grave, brought the coffin out, and threw the lid open. Isabella only managed to say, "I knew you would come for me, Daddy. I was so scared inside there. It was so dark," before passing out. Henry quickly rushed his daughter to the hospital, where she was immediately stabilized. The next morning, Henry went home with Isabella, and Laura couldn't hide her shock when she saw Isabella alive. She took her for a ghost, but when she recovered from the shock, she rushed towards the little girl and pretended to be happy. But before she could even touch her, Henry pushed her away. "Your game is up. I can't believe I have been living with you. You're a devil and a pretender." You see, before Henry saw the live video of Isabella in the grave, he saw a clip where Laura gave Isabella excess sleeping pills to swallow. Then, a few minutes later, the little girl slumped, and Laura started calling for help. When they got to the hospital, she was wrongly pronounced dead. Seeing that her secret was out, Laura started screaming, "I saw the documents to some of your properties. They were all in Isabella's name. How could you do that? I also got some properties in your name. Have you seen my will? You and Isabella were named. You didn't have to harm the innocent child," Henry shouted back. Just then, he said something Laura never thought she would ever hear. "For years, I played dumb. I know you fell out of love with me a long time ago just because I lost my leg. Yet you kept pretending, and I kept believing and hoping that you would turn a new leaf. I truly believed you had some goodness left in you. I really loved you, but not anymore. We can no longer live as husband and wife. Please leave my house now," Henry said as he brought out divorce papers from his bag. "I've had this divorce letter for years. I prayed hard that I would never have to give it to you. Please leave at once, or I will call the police, and you will face the law." Filled with shame and deep regret, Laura walked out of the house. She knew her life was forever ruined, and the worst part was that it dawned on her that Henry was irreplaceable, and she might never find another man like him. It's so sad that we don't know the value of someone until we lose them. I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video with your friends and family to spread the enjoyment. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.